Hello everyone, and welcome to our first session of Masterworks Moments. I am Anthony Blake Clark, and this is Leo Wanenchak.
Hello!
He's our virtual orchestra. He's also a member of the choir with you. He's a little bit of everything, so he is priceless. So welcome to our virtual rehearsal. Lots of banter will go on, lots of rehearsing will go on, lots of singing will go on, but for the singing to happen successfully, you got to put yourself on mute, so go ahead and make sure you're muted and find your Monteverdi scores. So we decided to do a little bit of Monteverdi because we wanted to do some M's. So we have Monteverdi, Mahler, and Mendelssohn. So it's going to be a great rehearsal. And we're going to start off fun, and then we're going to get really into the weeds with the Mahler, and then end with Mendelssohn. So here is some Monteverdi. Great. Open your scores. Let's find the first measure. I think we should just read through this on a la. So everyone at home, pick a neutral syllable, maybe la, so that we don't have to mess with the Italian yet. And then we will get some coaching on our Italian. Okay, so nice slow tempo. 3 and 4. La. Excellent, very good job, I assume. One can only hope that you did a good job there. I should have said from the onset that the divisi is very strange, and if we were doing this in person, it might even be quite difficult. So it's basically the upper two parts are ladies sort of in conversation. So you can either pick the first line or the second line if you're a soprano or an alto. It really doesn't matter. And then we have tenor 1 on the third line, tenor 2 on the fourth, bass 1, bass 2. So, again, not the easiest thing to rehearse and not the easiest thing to perform in that division. There's two textures going on, right? There's sort of the playful interaction between the two top lines, and then there are these really fun syncopated entrances in the tenors and basses. So let's just hear the tenor and bass entrances. So this is beginning with the second measure. Okay, second measure. Really, I know it's strange to enter on these syncopations with the notation the way it is instead of being in 4/4. You know, it's sort of the note lengths are doubled, but you can do it. Here it is. 1 and 2 and. We'll do that one more time. The second tenors, just make sure that your entrance is correct. 1 and 2 and. Down, bass, and. Great. Now, tutti, we're going to talk about this metric relationship. It's really strange. Everyone do this for me, and Leo too. Let's pat on our leg, or somewhere on our body, a 4 pattern in common time. So 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Brava tutti! Now, with the second hand, arm, let's do triplets on the other leg. Woo! It's hard, huh? Now take the quadruplets away. Yeah! So that's going to be our new tempo of the 3-2 measure when it comes up. So there are lots of different ways to do this. Some conductors like for the pulse to sort of stay the same, so that means that the old half note would equal the new whole note. This is so tricky. And then some people like for the old half note to become, or the old whole note to become a dotted whole note, and I think that's the better, more sort of dancey, idyllic way to do this in a ballet setting. Of course, this, after all, has ballet elements to it. So that's what I think we're going to do. So maybe we should go back to the beginning, and while we sing on La, you'll pat a triplet on your left leg, or whatever leg you were doing the triplet on to begin with. So it will be bum, 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 ba da 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 dum, and in the back of your brain or on your body you'll be doing di da 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 da, so that when we get into the next section you'll know exactly what the metric transposition is. Does that make sense to you too? Hopefully.
Sure, I just follow the conductor.
He never follows the conductor. Let's try it. Here it is. Here's your pitch with 3 and 4. Bum. this room. We have a real treat now, because I am not certainly an expert in Italian diction, but we do have a friend who is. So, we have a friend who has really moved up in the world since retiring from Towson University, because now he's been promoted to becoming our Baltimore Choral Arts virtual rehearsal Italian diction coach. Please welcome Dr. John McLucas.
Hi, this is John McLucas, and Maestro Clark has asked me to go through the diction for the Orfeo chorus with you. First off, there is in some scores a typo in the very first line. If in your score it says lasciate I monte, change that final E to an I. It's monti to rhyme with fonti in the next phrase. So the first line, lasciate monti, lasciate fonti, ninfe vezzose liete. You note that you slur all vowels together. There is absolutely no glottal stop in Italian. You never go lasciate I, but lasciate monti, lasciate fonti, ninfe vezzose liete. Notice the closed O's in monti, fonti, vezzose, and the open E in liete. Second line. In questi prati ai balli usati vago il bel pier rendete. In questi, the E is closed in the word e and in the word questi. And when you slur vago to il, don't go vaguil, but vago il bel pier and so forth. You know, and I apologize because I'm telling you things most of you have known for 25 years, you absolutely must not roll the single R in Italian between two vowels. So in the third line, we have words like miri, carole, and the same issue comes up later. Don't sing miri or carole, but miri, carole. So the third line, qui miri il sole vostre carole, più vaghe assai di quelle. Notice the closed E in quelle, the last word, it's not quelle, quelle. And very interesting, the word sole, closed O, correctly rhyming with the open O of carole. It's called a Sicilian rhyme. So, qui miri il sole vostre carole, più vaghe assai di quelle. In the fourth line, the score that I'm looking at has onda, la, luna. We are going to double the L on the word la. So you write in an L between a with the accent and la. Onda la luna, la notte bruna, danzano in ciel le stelle. Notice danzano, the accent is definitely on the first syllable, and Monteverdi has set it on an offbeat, so to speak. So don't sing danzano, but danzano in ciel le stelle. The E of ciel, of course, is open. The E of stelle is closed. Poi, this is the fifth line, poi di bei fiori per voi sonori di questi amanti il crine. Poi, open O, bei, open E, bei, fiori, not fiori, fiori, single R, closed O, per voi sonori, the H is not pronounced at all, sonori, di questi amanti il crine, closed E in questi. And in the final line, the H of the first word is not pronounced and the O is closed. Cor de martiri, de lor desiri, godon beati al fine. Godon is the same issue as danzano. The accent is on the first syllable of that word, not godon, but godon. Cor de martiri, de lor desiri, godon beati al fine. Bene, bravi. See you soon. Ciao.
Okay, thank you, Dr. McLucas. Leo.
In measure 51, there's an E natural in tenor part, and we're going to make it an E flat. And this is part of what's called musica ficta, or fictitious music, the music that you came up with on the spot, the fictitious music, as opposed to the music that was written in the score. So we're going to ficta that note to an E flat.
Good. Let us now go back to the beginning, and we are going to chant in rhythm whilst Leo helps us by playing pitches. Okay, so chanting the words. Here it is. Chant La Shate Mo. 3 and go. Now, when we go to sing this sort of for real, just keep in mind that the roadmap is a little bit strange. You sing the first page, you repeat it, and go to the second line. Then you go into the 3-2 section with Qui mi il sole vostre carole, and then of course we have the ritornello, and then you go back to page 1, La châtaiment, okay? And then you do that page again, so the first 2 lines are repeated. And then, when we turn the page to the 3-2 section, we're doing puis, right? It's the second set of words when we return, okay? So, congratulations. So far, you've been working on about 1/3 of the chorus part of Act 1 of Orfeo. So, I think we should talk about Orfeo and Monteverdi. That sounds like a good idea. So, basically, you as a chorus really, in this opera, which is really the first surviving opera in existence almost, basically. Written in 1600, Monteverdi was written for the Gonzaga court in Mantua. Monteverdi has a lot of operas, but only 3 are surviving. So he wrote in Mantua and then later in Venice for the sort of establishment there. And it's your job right now to help establish what a chorus in an opera does basically for the history of opera from here on. And choruses sort of exist in that Greek kind of way. They comment on the action, and then people sort of jump in and out from the chorus to be shepherds or nymphs or muses, and then they fill it back in. And I think that's sort of a little bit of the model for Mozart. So, you are very privileged to become the first opera chorus, and you're very Greek because the story is very Greek, very tragic. That's really fun. And the top of the page says, Questo balletto fu cantato, that part, it says, this ballet was sung to the sound of 5 violas, 3 chitarrons, 2 harpsichords, a double harp, a double bass, and a flute. So, this is a ballet. And the 3-2 section really does, I think, reflect that. So, how about we just try it? Yeah, words and music together. We'll go slow first. Okay? 3 and go. full performance. Here we go. So this is with all the repeats and with the lovely ritornello in between. 2, 3. ballet shoes on, and he was very much in the ballet during the ritornello. It was wonderful.
Hey all you cool choristers and cantors, it's Blake here from Baltimore Choral Arts. I'm coming to you from the woods and the forests behind my house. Now, why on earth is Blake walking around with his dogs in the forest talking to a big group of singers? Well, I'll tell you why. Coming back here and listening to the wind in the leaves and listening to the river running by below to my right, it gives me a little bit of a safe haven, a little bit of a retreat. It makes me think about music. I come here to think about the pieces that I'm writing. I come here to think about the pieces that I'm rehearsing with you. And Gustav Mahler was no different. The woods and bodies of water and mountains were very important to him. He had a little cottage, a writing cottage in Meiernich, Austria, which might look a little different than the woods of Maryland, but still. He would go there to write. He wrote tons of his works there. And, of course, Mahler too is no different. So I want to give you a little bit of background of my experience with Mahler too. It's a really special piece for me. I saw videos of Valery Gergiev conducting the London Symphony of Mahler II when I was pretty young, and it sort of set me on this trajectory of choral orchestral masterworks. I went and saw Gergiev do it at the Baden-Baden Festival, which was really cool. And then I went on after undergraduate, when I was living in England, I got to sing this with Simon Rattle for his 60th birthday concerts in London at the Queen Elizabeth Hall. I also watched him do it a ton in Berlin, 3 nights in a row at the Berlin Philharmonic, at the Philharmonie. And it really sort of, to me, does contain so many of the essential elements of life and the universe and philosophical ideas all in one symphony, and it's just so inspiring to me, and it contains so many musical elements and so many sort of philosophical elements. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to rehearse it with you. So just a little bit of background. In 1888, Mahler was conducting a premiere of a Weber opera, and afterwards there was this big reception. Sorry, lots of leaves. This big reception with tons of flowers. The dressing room was just filled to the brim with arrangements and bouquets of huge floral tapestries almost. And while it was very beautiful on the one hand, it also sort of, in Mahler's very overactive brain, sort of warped and became this sort of grotesque thing. And he imagined his own death He imagined this being a funeral parlor where everyone was gathering and bringing these flowers because he had died. And so he worked on the Second Symphony for quite a long time, and that was sort of a germination of the idea, this obsession with his own death. And he began writing something. He called it the Totenfeierlied, funeral rite. And he started writing that in the summer of 1893. In 1894, the conductor of the Hamburg Philharmonic, von Bülow, who was something of a mentor to Mahler, unfortunately died. At his funeral, Mahler conducted some, but also a children's choir sang a song with the text Auferstehen, rise up, and it is the text that inspired and moved Mahler so much that he began finally writing the choral finale to his Second Symphony. He was stuck before then, nothing worked. He said that he sort of ransacked Western literature to find the right text, and he looked through the Bible, he looked through other ancient texts, and he just couldn't find the thing. And here's the thing: Auferstehen, ja, auferstehen wirst du, mein Herz, in ganzen Ruhe. So it's really amazing that he found this text by listening to a concert. Perhaps some of this symphony is in reference to his mentor and friend von Bülow, and perhaps some of this is seeing himself as the fallen hero that the work sort of surrounds. The first movement starts as this really dark and stormy kind of funeral procession of the fallen hero, and of course in this way it has hints of Beethoven 3 in that not only because of the symphonic work centering on the composer as the hero, in some ways, but also because of death and the celebration of the person's life. In Beethoven 3, the second movement is the funeral march. In Mahler 2, it's the first movement. And then, of course, we move on to a second movement that's sort of a waltz, a Ländler. It's an Austrian slow waltz, and it sort of looks backwards on the hero's life. And we get two more movements, which I don't have time to explain. But then we come to our glorious finale that we're about to rehearse right now, in which the culmination of spirituality and philosophy, life and death come together in this beautiful and ultra romantic way for Mahler. So let's go back into the rehearsal room and start some music. So, ladies and gentlemen, shake your bodies out, get ready for the long haul here. Basically, I just want you to feel like you've gotten a survey of what it is like to sing the Second Symphony finale. So, we're going to start at the beginning of your singing. This is rehearsal 31. If you have measure numbers, it's measure 472, langsam. We creep in as a choir after a really beautiful sonorous orchestral passage. We're in G flat. It's a very warm, comforting key, almost lush even. There are two sections of the introduction of this finale, and I think maybe the choir here is perhaps speaking as God and the angels, this still small whisper that we hear for the first time, and we hear this Auferstehen theme for the very first time here in figure 31. So let's just sing this. Let's sing it on a neutral syllable. Let's sing it on anything you want. Actually, you can ooh it. Oohing it might be good. So let's do this. Very slowly, and watch the eighth notes. They're very slow because there's a ritornando above them. Good. I just wanted to give you an introduction first of that Auferstehen theme.
Then let's just do a flyover. After an orchestral interlude that gives us this warm, sort of sunny theme, we come into the real beginning of this finale with the alto soloist's O Glaube section. Here the music, I think, becomes more animated. By the way, I'm talking about rehearsal 39. The music's much more animated. You've got these tremolos in the upper strings, these pizzicato rhythmic parts, rhythmic kind of almost pearls in the lower strings, and a tempo that agitates the soul more and more to stir up and spiral towards the heavens. Of course, that's our ultimate goal in this piece, is the resurrection and the flying up into the stars. It moves into sort of this very knowingly sung passage. What came into being must pass away, and what passed away must rise again. And it's sort of in this tenor bass, sort of Welsh male voice choir kind of thing, followed by a low brass choir sonority. It's really beautiful. And of course, at this moment, this is when the choir would stand from their chairs, and the alto and soprano soloists, they duet about the ending of grief and death, and then the choir gets to wind us up all over again with this canonic theme. It's beautiful. Could you play, Leo, would you mind playing just a little bit of the theme at 46 for us? Little canonic entrance and a beautiful sort of hairpin phrase of that melody. And then this leads into the final Auferstehen theme, which is repeated and repeated in this explosively romantic, triumphant, upwardly flying manner. And the whole earth is being transformed. We're shooting into the sky. That's talking about rehearsal 48. In fact, speaking of rehearsal 48 and the Auferstehen theme, let's sing this. Let's sing right from 48. Watch out for the tempo change at measure 720. We're going to go faster at 720. And then at 728, be prepared for those triplets to feel very long. I'll give each triplet, and then I'll be very decisive about the 4 beats in 729. Okay, so let's just sing a little bit. Just repeat after me very quickly. Auferstehen, ja, auferstehen, wirst du mein Herz in einem Nu. I think that was probably very good.
It was good.
Was du geschlagen. Yeah, was du geschlagen. Zu Gott wird es dich tragen. Okay, let's just see how it goes. Please don't sing too loudly. Don't upset your dogs in the neighborhood. Let's just get a sense of what this music is. Okay, here it is at 48. 3, and. It's in 4. 3, and. Was du geschlagen. This is measure 720, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 before 49. Okay? And be really, really incisive about the text, really getting all of those those lovely nuances of the German out there into the ether. Okay, here it is. Was du geschlagen. We're chanting. 2, 3. Was du geschlagen. And was du geschlagen. Zu Gott, zu Gott, zu Gott wird es dich tragen. Yes, good. At 7:28 into 7:29, sopranos, tenors, let's just listen to Leo playing our parts. It's really, it's a place to make sure your ears are always at the ready. Here it is. Sing that with us, hum it. And everyone can sing a part. 3, and. Bravo. Maybe we should just take apart each little bit now from the beginning. Do you think that's a good idea? I do.
Sure.
So the first time we hear the chorus, it's just magical. It's otherworldly. It's the beginning of this triumphant conclusion, but it should still come as a surprise. So actually, if we were to be in person, I would have you seated the whole time until that big sort of moment at the end. So it should just, and in fact, also, I would have at least a third of you humming instead of singing, because it just has to be the smallest whisper, just sort of wafting very, very so surreptitiously into the room. So let's do that. From 31 again. I know you've seen this before, but now you can perfect it. Try some words. Great. Tenors, basses, let's look at your line for a moment. If you don't have the low notes, don't worry. If you do have the low notes, just sort of hang them on a very confident but quiet string so that they're not forced down, not pushed. You just place them on that sort of little platform beneath you, and that's that. Also, everyone, when we get there, look at the 3/4 bar on Ru. Do you see it? So all those note changes need to be very precise, but still have that sort of elasticity of sound. Yeah, it can't sound like a synthesizer, but really watch for those changes. Okay, tenors and basses at 31. Here we go. Wonderful. Now, sopranos and altos, right where we stopped. This is 4 measures after 31. Make sure, sopranos especially, that the B flat on nach, you see it? The B flat on nach needs to sound like an entire world away from the note previous, right? So we really have to think about it being very far apart, even though it's only one whole step or a whole tone. Yes, because especially in this quiet of a dynamic and this part in your voice, it's quite difficult to keep this in tune. Yes, so just lots of support as well, even though we're singing quietly. Altos and sopranos, wirst du. Stretch. Yes, tutti, same place, wirst du. Can you make the consonant just one in between those two words? Instead of wirst du, just wirst du. Very simply sung and said, okay? Here it is. Tutti. Surprise chord. Wonderful. Du unsterblich leben. Again, leben is a closed vowel, and make sure it's a little bit of a surprise chord. E major. E major is fairly distant from G flat, yes? And also, can you make sure that it's still just covered? Whatever dynamic that you sang at your home just now, even less. You can hum if you want. Okay? Unsterb. Absolutely. Good. Let's look at a different section. So we have this amazing orchestral interlude, and then we come to part 2 of the introduction of the finale. This is 35. Wieder aufzublühen wirst du gesät. Your turn. Good. And then look at 2 before 36. Der Herr der Ernte. Der Herr der Ernte geht. Okay, that's enough for now. Let's just sing. Wonderful. Yes. So now at 36, great job just now. It's much like the section before. You have to watch the placement of these intervals. It's not very stable musically, harmonically. Particularly downward intervals. I would really like you to think downwards in pitch, upwards in placement. Downwards in pitch, upwards in placement. Repeat that back to me. Yes. Good. Absolutely. Now, 2 before 36. Be really careful. Okay. This is a real test in long and short vowels in German. Look, just repeat after me. Der Herr der Ernte. Yeah, and then der Herr der Ernte geht. Yeah, so it goes Short, long, short. Yes? Okay, so just chant that with me with Leo playing your parts. Okay, we're going to chant together two before 36. 2 and dear Herr, dear Älter. Dear Herr, dear Schwarte G. Yes, good. Now let's go back to 35 and just sing and enjoy. Here we go. 1, 2. Tenors and basses, if you could meld your sound into the timbre of a trombone section. If we were singing this with an orchestra and they were doubling you, you'd blend quite well with trombones. Dia Herr. Still mystery. Glad we ran into that. Do 36. 36, one more time. Everyone just make your breath the same as the alto part in measure 529 or 4 after 36. Put your breath, mark your breath as a quarter note and then a quarter note rest. Okay? Der Herr, der Ernte geht. And. Absolutely. Congratulations. You did a great job. Now we come to sort of what I feel like is the true kind of ending of the whole thing. The alto has her lovely solo. Oh, Glaub, du sollst. It's absolutely amazing. And then the tenors and basses once again have their moment. If it were me, I would add some alto 2s onto the tenor line. This is 1 before 42. Just before we sing, no early S's. Va, s, e, t, sta. Your turn. Repeat that back to me. 3. Va, s, e, t, sta. Absolutely. Now also take note of the elasticity of tempo that he writes in here. There's langsame and misterioso, and then vorwärts. This is a speeding up. Yes? And then we come away. And then at 43, it's the same thing. We have quite a slow tempo. And then bereite dich, prepare yourself, is schneller, fast. And then langsame, slow. So all these things, you just have to look at Leo and I. Heaven forbid. Yes. Make sure you're paying attention for the tempo. That's one thing. Make sure that the accents between 42 and 43 are really triumphant and happy accents, not violent accents. And there was one other thing I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was, so it must not have been that important. Ah, yes, the bereite dich section, 634. Tenors and basses split into 2 parts each, so it's a 4-part chord. Bereite dich, prepare yourself. And then the altos and sopranos come in and sweeten you up. Prepare yourself to live. The first time that you shouted, it's an absolute exclamation, and I hope that everyone in your neighborhood, all the way down the street, hears you sing that. Okay, it should be very grand. When I was singing it with Rattle right before this in a rehearsal, he turned around to the back of the hall and did like this. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking for, right? Okay, let's do Was entstanden ist. 1, 2. Was entstanden. Good. Do you feel the anticipation? Altos, join us fast. And even now, conductors make mistakes, even when we do multiple takes. Yes, good. So make sure that there is a real pregnant pause over the quarter rest with the fermata over it. It's 6:35, right before the sopranos and altos enter on Bereite dich zu leben, right? Okay, good. That was really nice. Really nice. Next place, huh? This would be the entrance to 46. This is such a lovely section where we put on our wings that we have made for ourselves. Mit Flügeln. I'm just going to speak this for you. Mit Flügeln, die ich mir errungen, werde ich entschweben. Okay? It's definitely not errungen. The G should not be said in that way, or else you'll sound very provincial, and we don't want that. Mit Flügeln, die ich mir errungen, werde ich entschweben. And schwe, I believe, is closed. Okay? So, let's just sing this and see how it goes. Okay? So it's going to be mit Flügeln, die, and really emphasize the text. 1, 2, bass. Mit Flügeln. Altos are next. And in 2. Tenor. Alto. Second tenor. Soprano. Bass. Bravo tutti. Let's do that again. That canonic stuff is just so lovely to me. I think this is an amazing place where we're really sort of encouraging other spirits to wind up and put on wings and fly heavenward. It's amazing. And how the tempo changes, it's just masterful. Can you do one of these? Which is a hairpin, right? It's sort of a very large sort of inflection on each of these little phrases. Dimba, di da di da di 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 every time you have it. A really, really strong hairpin. Be aggressive with the concept. Here we go. One more time. Actually, Leo, would you mind playing the tenor line, and we're going to hum with you, because I would like us to think about absolute lovely tone, even when it's this high in our register, and even when we're doing hairpins. So hum or ooh. Here it is. Tenor entrance. 1 and. Second tenor. First tenor. Bravo. Okay, I think everyone, yes? One before 46, yep. Basses, 1 and. Yeah. Let's blah, 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 blah. I'll cut this out. Yeah, so D, 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 D. Let's try it one more time. Basses, 1 note before 46. Mit, flu. And put the T as an 8th note value. Mit, flu. 1, 2. Mit, flu. Now switch to a neutral syllable. La, maybe? 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Beautiful. Good job. So, that's sterben werd ich zu leben, and ste has an sh, just as a reminder, okay? It's not ste or any other sort of form. Also, can you make sure that you point to the word, to the syllable le? Sterben werd ich zu leben. Yeah, that's the real crux of that phrase, and you get a big crash cymbal to help you remember that as well, okay? And crescendo. Make sure, did you see the diminuendo and the crescendo? This is 4 before 48. Yeah? So sol, le, and then you come away. And then you charge out of the gate once again. Leben. And if you do that with the orchestra and everyone on stage, the crowd just won't know what to do. Let's sing that. Let's do it again from the little almost fugato thing. 1 note before 46. Mit flu. Okay? Big hairpins. 1, 2. Mit flu. Stir the pot. Good. And of course, that leads us back to the heavy, pesante tempo marking that we sort of started this rehearsal at. So if you're really aggressive with that concept, it's just going to blow the audience's mind. I really think that Mahler is a real genius with the way he does the tempo modulations and sort of the elongated. There's a sense of sort of hierarchy of rubato, really extended rubato from doing these tempo changes the way he does. Leo, what do you think about Mahler 2? Unscripted.
Unscripted. Well, actually, I'm having this memory of the first time that I did Mahler 2, which was Yuri Tamirkanov's last concert with the Baltimore Symphony. And
Wow.
we did his send-off from there, and we combined the defunct Baltimore Symphony Orchestra chorus
Yes.
and Morgan State and choral arts together to give him a good send-off. And I can't remember, so I want somebody to tell me when we did this. But when we stood, instead of the whole chorus standing at the same time, one person here would stand and another person there would stand.
Oh, wow.
But I can't remember where it was in the score, and I looked through 3 scores that I have on it. You would think I
That's
have
a
it
nice
marked.
idea. Really
So
nice
somebody
idea.
out there in choral arts in 2006, June of 2006, that sang this concert, please let me know
Wow.
when we did this, because it was shivers up the spine that one person was standing and another until the whole, probably like 200 of us were standing at the time.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's absolutely amazing.
it was cool.
So yes, we all have wonderful experiences with this piece, and I think the more you do it, the more you just find new little corners and new ways to make it an adventure, I hope. Let's sing from measure 704. I'm hoping that perhaps, actually let's go from 47. I'm hoping that maybe you can point more towards Lee. You can do a big, massive sh on sterben. And when we get to 48, it's marked triple forte, right? And mit höchster Kraft, with the highest power, right? So just sing it out. I think when we get there, do mezzo voce, just save your voice, and just remind yourself of the pitches, rhythm, and words, especially at 728, before we do sort of a run-through of the second half as if we were doing a performance. Okay, here's 47. And this is in 2, right? 2, 1, and take it easy. Off, yes. Just make sure at 1 before 49 is a new tempo. And it's absolutely a choir sort of superstar moment. Most of the orchestra leaves at this point, and you sing zu Gott, zu Gott. It's a different tempo, and you're sort of by yourself, and it's absolutely just the most heart-wrenchingly beautiful, emotional moment. There's nothing but happiness here. To God, I'm going to God. Yes, it's the happiest, most unadulterated, joyful bit of music ever, and just the height of romanticism. Well, I think that you've been doing a fabulous job with Mahler so far, and I think it would be great just to go from 46 standing and go from 46 to the end as if we are doing a performance. Give a performance to your cat, your dog, your wife, your husband.
Get a drink of water if you need it.
Get a drink of water or a gin and tonic, either one. Open all the windows, let your neighbors hear. They'll be very impressed with your German. Good. Now, we're going to just pretend that we are in either a rehearsal or a concert hall, and we're going to give a phenomenal performance together of the ending of Mahler 2. Now, before we do this, I hope that you can think about the theme of this whole symphony and find some sort of either idea or person surrounding loss, whether you've lost a situation, a financial situation because of this crisis, or you've lost a loved one, or you know someone who has, or you've lost a sense of security, or you're just mourning for the state of the world with all the things going on, the absolute constant systemic racism that we face, and the pandemic crisis. And think also of the brighter day that we will have on the other side of this. This is what this music is all about. This is what the symphony is about, is triumphant resolution and resurrection from tragedy. So think about that as we sing. Here is one note before 46 with the basses. Here it is. 2. ending our time together by singing Heilig by Mendelssohn. This is part of the Die Deutsche Liturgie. Mendelssohn was commissioned by the king to write a Lutheran liturgy, set the whole thing, so he did. It's quite simple and approachable for most types of church choirs, and so if you're a church choir musician, I hope that you will save this, and actually you can get all of it with a sort of Karus nice bound edition that's really clean and really easy to see and read and understand, and the editorial markings are phenomenal. I just love double choir music. The more and more I rehearse and sing and perform, the more I think double choir stuff is like the height of our art as choral musicians. What do you think about this piece?
You know, like, it takes me back to my church music days when I was a Presbyterian church in Towson, and we got the two Presbyterian churches together, Towson Presbyterian and Central Presbyterian, to do a concert. And the choir director there suggested this piece. The choir director at Towson Press suggested it. And you know when a piece comes into your life and you go, where has that been hiding? Like that you just didn't know it. And this was just a real gift to hear this piece. And for some reason, for me, it's the counterpiece to the Laude Crucifixus, because the Laude Crucifixus starts low in the basses, and the parts build up and 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 build up. And this piece
Starts
high because, of course, we have the choir of angels that Isaiah talked about in the Bible, singing "Holy, Holy, Holy" from the different places, and so this descends from heaven to earth.
Wow.
Beautiful.
It's amazing.
Amazing piece.
It's really good stuff.
The double choir stuff is so hard. I find it very difficult because you're always coming in matching the note, the exact note of someone else, and it's hard to tune. I think it's harder to tune. So much more listening involved.
Listening and antiphonal work and sort of answering back and forth and just a lot of different. It's almost a chance for composers to be more symphonic in the styles that they write, which I think is just lovely. Lovely that we get to do these types of music. So there's an intro, and there's sort of a part A, and there's a part B, and there's a part B repeated. Part B being Oziana in der Höhe. Say that. Oziana in der Höhe. Good. Let's sing. Let's try from the beginning. If you have the word Heilig and then a comma, go ahead and take a small lilting breath. Heilig, 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 until measure 8. Measure 8 into measure 9, no breath. Okay, here it is. 1 and soprano 1. Right before the end, basses. You're going to enter forte and have a nice crescendo in to the last 4 measures. Ozia, or Ozia. Everyone else, so this is 6 before and 7 before. On your Oziana entrances, be very soft. Okay? When we get into the B section, which begins at bar 25 with the choir 2, or with choir 1 singing Oziana in der Höhe, and then the choir 2 answer Oziana in der Höhe, and then choir 1 Oziana in der Höhe. B natural. It's quite an interesting place to go. Let's all make this sort of developmental. So we're going a little more sort of experimenting with different places to go. Key-wise, let's go mezzo piano, maybe mezzo piano plus, but not as strong. Everyone just look at 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Bar 16, Alle Lande sind sein. That can be really striding. Die ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta. Very proud and regal. Let's just sing that. Alle Lande. 2, 1. In bar 11 into 12, we all have a tied note into another measure. Really sort of spin the sound forward at that moment. Make it interesting and make it go somewhere. Heilig ist Gott. Yeah, same thing similarly on the word Herr, the whole note. Bar 11, 12, 13, 14. Put a crescendo on and really emphasize Tsebaot. Tsebaot. Herr Tsebaot. Okay? Let's try that. Let's sing from bar 9.
Ooh.
From bar 9. Heilig, heilig, heilig ist Gott, der Herr Tsebaot. Okay, let's try that. 1 and sing. How about we just do a run through to end our time together? Here's a D. 1. Great.
I keep wanting to high-five you. Virtual high-five.
Virtual high five. Virtual high five. Well, what a fun time this has been for me, and I can only guess it's been a grand old swell time for Leo too.
Hopefully it'll improve for next time. Thank you to Brown Memorial Presbyterian
Yes.
for letting us use their fellowship hall to record. And
thank you to you for being so willing to participate in something so virtually. So
we miss you.
We miss you terribly. And if you're joining us from far-flung places, stay safe, be well, keep the music going, and we'll see you on the 22nd of June.
Bye.
Okay, that's good.
It's easier than I thought, but then it's also harder.